Good morning. We're going to go ahead and call the recommending committee for October 13th, 2025 to order. And our first question is if we're in compliance with the open meeting law.
Yes, we are.
Thank you very much. Item number 3 is public comment. Comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. If you wish to be heard, come forward and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed may be limited. Please feel free to step forward now. Hearing and seeing none, You can either go now or you can go during the item. Okay, I'm gonna close the public comment. Item number 4 for possible action to approve the final minutes by reference to the September 2nd, 2025 recommending committee meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
There's a motion, please vote. And post. That item passes. And moving on to item number 5, bill number 2025-35 for possible action amends various provisions of LVMC Title VII related to the regulation of pet shops, establishes and revises penalties for certain violations of LVMC Title VII, and prohibits newly licensed pet shops from selling dogs, cats, rabbits, pot-bellied pigs, or guinea pigs. This is sponsored by Mayor Shelley Berkeley and Councilwoman Nancy Bruni. And I'm going to turn it over to our city attorney.
Thank you, Chair MPT Knudsen and committee. I have a brief PowerPoint to go through which will set up the history of this bill and also the proposed First Amendment, which I've distributed to the committee this morning. And the clerk's office also has some copies if members of the public would like to see it when the meeting's over. But we'll go over the highlights of the proposed First Amendment and the ordinance as introduced briefly right now. So a little history of this bill. As some of you might remember, we had 2 different bills dealing with animal topics that were previously introduced and subsequently struck from agendas, 2025-13 and 2025-14. 2025-13 dealt with requirements for canine enclosures, quarantine rooms, and warranty requirements. This was generally a regulatory bill sponsored by then Councilwoman Seaman. Bill 2025-14 was sponsored by Councilwoman Bruni and Mayor Berkeley and dealt with a prohibition on the sale of dogs, cats, rabbits, and pot-bellied pigs by newly licensed shops. So that would have been effective on new pet shops that opened in the city. As I mentioned, in July of this year, both of those bills were struck because the 3 council members came together to create one bill from their 2 topics, which was 2025-35, and that is the bill number that we are dealing with today. Put simply, that 2025-35 put the regulations together with the prohibition on new sales, but it also made clear that the exemption for existing pet shops would end 2 years after the bill was adopted. In other words, new pet shops would not be able to sell, and the existing shops, while grandfathered in, would lose that exemption 2 years from this bill's adoption. That was the concept when we drafted 2025-35, the bill in front of you today. Per Nevada revised statutes, the bill went out for its business impact solicitation. We received a variety of feedback, both written and verbal, through our animal protection services and also the bill sponsors. Based on that feedback, the bill was formally introduced in September without the sunset provision. What that meant was the bill as written would allow the grandfathered shops to continue to sell animals as long as they existed at their current location or only relocated to another location. They could not expand, but they could move one for one and maintain their pet sales in perpetuity as long as they existed and were licensed. The new shops would still be unable to sell the 5 categories of animals: dogs, cats, rabbits, pot-bellied pigs, and guinea pigs. That's the way the bill was introduced. No sunset provision for the existing shops. We've received additional feedback, and by we, I mean the council sponsors and staff generally, throughout September and early October. And as a result of that, the city attorney's office drafted a proposed First Amendment, which has been distributed today, as I mentioned, which captures the request of the two bill sponsors who exist currently on this council, Mayor Berkeley and Councilwoman Bruni. The new sunset provision added to the proposed First Amendment would allow the grandfathered shops to sell the 5 categories of animals, but they can only do it for 3 more years from the date of adoption, of the bill, which we've generally set now to be November 5th of 2028 would be when the sales would end at the existing pet shops, of which we've confirmed there are 13 in the city that sell any of these types of animals. This is some highlights of the regulations. Again, these are generally taken from what was originally then Councilwoman Seaman's bill, but put into Bill 2025-35. They deal with enclosures, keeping the animals separate from humans so there's not nonstop touch of people visiting the shops or interested in buying the animals. The disease plan would now need to be in writing. Current code does not mandate the disease control plan to be in writing. It will now have to be in writing. There's some warranty requirements with respect to dogs under 12 months of age in terms of a warranty on the purchase and to provide free pet insurance. There's a display requirement with respect to the price of the animals and the kennel of origin for dogs and cats, a health certificate, and we've also, this portion, the last bullet there on the right, comes from what was originally the Berkeley-Bruni bill, which was an explicit objective note in the code that if you have 3 adjudications or code issues that are found against you by our animal protection services, that automatically brings you in front of council for possible revocation. It's not a subjective determination by staff about when to bring you. If you have 3, you're going in front of council. With respect, so that's the regulatory side of the bill. The pet sales limitations, I've pretty much hit most of them already. The ban on those 5 types of animals that we've discussed, an exemption for the existing. We wrote this when we were aware of 12, but like I said, there are now 13 shops that we are aware of. You can partner, if you're a pet shop, with shelters, nonprofit animal rescues to offer the animals up for adoption. The pet shop cannot make money off of that situation. And then we also have a minimum fine of $250 and a maximum fine of $500 if you are illegally selling any of the animals described in the bill. And finally, like I pointed out a couple of minutes ago, what the proposed First Amendment in front of this recommending body would do if they accept it would set the grandfather provision to sunset in 3 years, again, officially November 6th, I think, of 2028. Is what we put, or sorry, right there, November 5th, 2028 would be when it sunsets. So that is the concept of the proposed First Amendment. And with that, MPT, I'll turn it back to you for any questions from the committee or the public as we do public comment. Thank you.
Seeing no questions here, and for those in the audience, the intention for today is to move this bill out of recommending to the City Council, and so you're going to hear the same presentation and have the same opportunity to speak, but I wanted to make sure it's done in front of the bill sponsors, which is the Mayor and Councilwoman Bruni. So that meeting, if we pass it out of today, would happen on November 5th, 2025. And so if you intend on speaking today, I would also encourage you to speak on November 5th, 2025 in front of the City Council meeting. With that, I don't have any questions up here. I will open it up to the public if you would like to make a comment. Now's the time to do that. We'll set the timer at 2 minutes.
It's on, perfect. Hi, good morning. My name is Rebecca Goff. I'm the Nevada State Director for Humane World for Animals, formerly known as the Humane Society of the United States. I want to thank the council and the city for all the work that they've done for this ordinance. It is a big step in the right direction, specifically by adding that amendment that sunsets out the existing stores. With 13 stores, the city of Las Vegas has more stores than 37 states. It's time that we join the city of North Las Vegas, Clark County, Mesquite, Reno, the 500 other municipalities and cities, and the 8 other states that ban the sale of dogs, cats, and other live animals. Thank you so much for your kind attention to this issue, and I urge your support to move this out of committee and to support it at the main council as well. Thank you.
Good morning, Anula Wildridge. I wanted to thank the council and the committee for putting together this ordinance. And I was going to comment about the existing pet stores, but I see with the amendment that that has been addressed. So I wanted to thank you for that. It's important that when we pass ordinances that we remain consistent among contiguous jurisdictions in order for them to be effective. One concern that even opponents have raised is that large-scale breeding operations resort to direct-to-consumer sales, and some of us are working at the federal level to close those loopholes in the Animal Welfare Act so that these practices are no longer permitted. Thank you, and I encourage you to vote for this. Thank you.
If there's anybody else, if you want to, there's a second seat up here, just stand in line. Get up.
Hi, Alyssa Miller-Hurley with the Pet Advocacy Network. Thank you so much for taking the time. And I did just want to address the ordinance as well as the proposed amendment. While we understand and we're all here for the same reason, and that we want to make sure that animals are protected and their welfare is preserved, these kinds of ordinances do not achieve what they set out to do. We have seen in places like California where entire bans that ban the sale of cats and dogs end up having an unintended effect of creating a black market for puppies. In California, in fact, there was an LA Times expose that detailed the cruelty that these animals were undergoing through illegal backyard breeding, through transports that weren't regulated by the USDA, through breeders that weren't regulated by the USDA. The desire and the want of folks to get the animal that they choose isn't going to go away simply because there are no pet stores. We should not be in the business of making it harder for someone to access an animal from a reputable breeder and someone we know is caring for them. What we have seen in California and other places is that families don't know what to look for when they are going to breeders. Just because a breeder is a small breeder doesn't necessarily mean that they are a good one, and it doesn't mean that they are a regulated one. Most states have thresholds that breeders have to hit in order to be regulated by that state. And so rather than working to push people into the darkness and pushing people to internet sales, we should be working to strengthen regulations and make sure that the pet stores here are only working with top-of-the-line breeders. At the Pet Advocacy Network, we would be more than happy to work with the city in increasing regulation and working to find ways that we can strengthen enforcement. This past year, 5 different states rejected 5 all-out pet sale bans in favor of strengthening regulations. And we have already been in touch with many members of the City Council and would be happy to work with folks as we continue to try and strengthen animal welfare here in Vegas. And my last point is that for over a decade, the Humane Society and now Humane World Alliance has been pushing these bans. And as the representative stated, there are more than 500 municipalities. That number of quote-unquote puppy mills hasn't decreased, which means by their own measurements, this kind of legislation does not work. In fact, it only makes things worse for animals. So we would rather get everyone together and find a way we can increase regulation and preserve businesses here while also expanding animal welfare. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Members of the recommending committee, Warren Hardy representing Humane World for Animals. I appreciate you taking the time to review this ordinance. This has been a difficult issue for me personally as a representative of HSUS. I believe if you've followed my career at all, which I don't know why any of you would have, but the window of responsibility for government to get involved in business is very narrow, very narrow. And I have tried for many years to figure out how to do this short of a ban. I cannot find a way to address this. I respectfully disagree with everything that the previous speaker said. We can provide documentation. But I would say this. This is not about reducing any of the things they talk about. This is about 2 things. This is about an inhumane situation where animals are being pumped out for public consumption, for lack of a better word, and consumer protection. So I would encourage you not to get too involved in all the other peripheral issues that are being brought up. This is simply about 2 things: stopping an inhumane practice and consumer protection. So thank you for your consideration. We really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Good morning, council members. Hillary Gray with the Animal Foundation, 655 North Mojave. First, I'd like to thank you for revisiting the issue of puppy mill pet stores within the city of Las Vegas. As you know, the city had previously been a leader on this issue, having banned these shops years back, although a previous council took it off the books. We're very glad to see it revisited. It is needed. Thank you for taking it seriously and also for supporting the proposed statewide ban during the legislature. Thank you for taking a look at the greater regulation at health and safety concerns and to move to stop additional stores from proliferating in the valley. Unfortunately, that alone doesn't stop the problem. We especially appreciate you reconsidering this ordinance with a sunset for the existing stores. It's understandable to want to provide notice to these shops and the opportunity to change their business model. Pet supplies and services are a growing and thriving business sector. So you know that businesses who care about animals and their people can adapt successfully. These businesses have many potential adoption partners in the Valley's shelters and rescues for adoptions. I don't have to tell you, we've been talking about it for a long time together, that shelters and rescues are stressed and stretched to the max. There are nearly 800 animals on our campus today at the Animal Foundation. With so many animals of every breed, size, and age, including puppies and kittens of every breed available for adoption, there's just no reason for the puppy mill pipeline and sales to continue. People can find the animal of their choice. Every breed of dog and cat comes through the shelter, and there are many breed-specific rescues. I've worked with some of them myself. And there are also legitimate breeders who will have you meet the puppy's parents and know the puppy's health history. Legitimate breeders don't sell to pet stores, and they don't breed at factory farm scale. The city of Las Vegas has been a leader on this issue by adopting mandatory microchipping and more. As your partner, we ask that you lead again by recommending this ordinance with a sunset for the existing stores. We are happy to partner with businesses serious about animal welfare to transition successfully. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good morning, council members. My name is Lindsay Amar. I am a resident voter and small business owner here in Las Vegas who sells pet-related products. I'm here today as someone who deeply cares about animal welfare and wants to see Las Vegas move toward more humane policies, starting with a full ban on the sale of puppies and kittens in pet stores. If you've seen the local news or been on social media, you know that our animal shelters are overwhelmed. They're struggling with overcrowding and a constant influx of animals needing homes. The last thing we need to be doing is bringing in thousands of animals from out of state, inhumane breeding operations where they are poorly cared for, often resulting in a very sick puppy. We already have so many wonderful cats and dogs of all breeds, sizes, and ages waiting for homes right here in local shelters and rescues. And for those who want a specific breed, there are responsible, ethical breeders out there doing the right thing. This proposed ordinance is not anti-business. It's pro-animal, pro-community, and pro-responsibility. It's time for Las Vegas to join the growing number of cities taking a stand against cruelty and putting compassion first. Please vote to pass a ban of the sale of puppies and kittens in pet stores. It's the right thing to do for the animals, for our shelters, and for our city. Will you stand with puppy mills and the cruelty they represent? Or will you stand with the people of Las Vegas and say enough is enough? I urge you to please vote to pass a full ban on the sale of puppies and kittens in pet stores. I appreciate your time.
Hello, my name is Bridget Murphy, and I'm here to read a statement on behalf of the Las Vegas Valley Humane Society. While we appreciate the intent behind Bill 2025-35, this ordinance falls short because it carves out broad exemptions for existing pet shops, allowing the pipeline of animals from puppy mills to continue in our city for the next 3 years. If Las Vegas truly wants to be a leader in animal welfare, we should not grandfather in businesses that profit from the suffering of animals. Rather, we should impose a complete ban on the retail sale of animals and direct our support instead towards reputable shelters and rescues. Anything less only prolongs the problem and puts profit over humane treatment. It is time for Las Vegas to stand with the more than 500 communities across this nation that have already banned the sale of dogs and pet shops and demonstrate that our city chooses compassion and progress over outdated practices. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Rachel Bergren. I'm the Executive Director for Heaven Can Wait Animal Society. So we are a high volume, high quality spay and neuter clinic on the east side. I want to urge you to pass this ordinance, which strengthens protections for animals, and I'm really glad to hear about the amendment to the ordinance as well. Certainly looking for that no later than November of 2028, which seems like a long time away, but we know it'll be here soon, so that's great. I want to share a unique perspective, which is that, did I get that wrong? November of 2020? Okay. Every day in our spay and neuter clinic, I see the reality of animal overpopulation. Our local shelters, as we've heard, are full, and our clinic has a never-ending waiting list for spay and neuter vaccination and microchipping services, and we just can't meet the need. We simply do not have the resources in this city or in this region to meet the basic needs of animals that are already in our community, so bringing in more is only going to exacerbate the problem. Sadly, these animals are often sold before they're old enough to be vaccinated, spayed, or neutered, or certainly microchipped. And it's just going to put more pressure on clinics like ours and our local shelters. As Hillary and many others have said, families can have their choice of animals, size, breed, species, already in our community. So I really want to thank you for your support and for your consideration of this ordinance. And we stand ready to partner, continue to partner with the city of Las Vegas to improve animal welfare for animals in our community. Thank you.
Is there anybody else here for public comment? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close the public comment period. As I indicated earlier, this will be heard by the full City Council with the proposed amendment on November 5th, 2025, where the mayor and Councilwoman Bruni can be a part of the conversation as well. With that, I'm going to make a motion for no recommendation moving forward with the amendment.
What do you say?
Okay, and post. Okay, so this bill without a recommendation will move to the City Council on November 5th, 2025. And with that, that brings us to item number 6, which is citizen participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the recommending committee. No subject may be acted upon by the recommending committee unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to speak, please step forward now. Hearing and seeing no one, we will adjourn today's meeting. Thanks everyone for coming down.